Hello and welcome to Morning Coffee with Jesus. I'm Rebecca and this is my husband Jason. Today we're going to be talking about behind closed doors. So go ahead, like and share this video so you can hop everyone on with us so we can find out what's behind those doors. We're talking about behind closed doors. And I know a lot of people can take their mind all different directions when it comes to this topic.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to think, if we presented in front of you different doors, different colors, things like that. Think of the game show. What was that old game show that, it's like you could pick this box or you could pick behind this curtain?
Let's make a deal.
Yes, that. Okay, so think of that game, right?
They brought it back.
They did? Oh my gosh, exciting. Okay, so they have all those different options. Well, we're setting before you different doors here, okay? So we're gonna pop up some doors on the screen so y'all can see that. Which door would you pick? Would you pick one because it's a certain color or because one looks better than the other? But which one would you choose? Now, if we knew what was behind the door, it would be an easy choice, right? Well, that's how life is. We have so many different options and so many different paths that we can go down. And in fact, we can even look at other people's lives as an exterior door and think, oh man, it must be so beautiful in their life and everything's perfect and working out so great for them. But we're basing it off of what we can see naturally. We have no idea what's going on behind those closed doors. There could be depression, there could be lack, there could be so many different things going on behind that door that we don't see on a day-to-day basis. So it's important that when we're making a decision, we're not basing it off of just what we can see, that we're going and looking on the inside to find out what's behind the door, which is why I like that game show, because after they find out whatever it was they picked, they have another option. You can either keep what you have or you can trade it off for something else you can't see. Well, right then and there, you can say, oh man, I've got cash. We could think it could be better behind there, or, maybe not. Or they opened something and it was crazy and they're like, of course, this is a no-brainer. Let's open the other door. But
could be a zonk.
Exactly. But when we're looking at life, we've got to take it to what's behind the doors. Like, what's going on in our life? And then how can God change different things on the inside that people are now able to see on the outside?
No, it's a great analogy. When I think of, behind closed doors, I think of, like you said, what's behind that door. I like your analogy about, because I feel like this happens every single day, where people will get a window into somebody's life. Social media is the number one spot for this to happen, right? The reality of it is what you're looking at is a snapshot in time in that person's life. They're generally, now listen, there's some people out there who will post all of their dirty laundry, but most of the time, they're only going to highlight like the positive things, right? The awesome things, the fun things. And so you really got to, like you said, you really have to separate, and not just try to mimic yourself after that. Some people can get into a place where they think they know what's behind the door. And when they get to a place where they think, I don't have that, right? You can get yourself off track.
And so like, for instance, we can use us as an example too. None of us are perfect. We all have different things that we wish we could change or, could do different. Maybe had some better features or better talents or whatever, right? There's so many different things. And if we don't express those things, everyone may have I don't want to say judgment, but it is basically an opinion of that person, right? And people do this to me all the time. Like I've even had people who now know me for years, and they'll recently come up to me. They're like, man, when I first met you, I thought you were so stuck up and, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because for me, I was very shy.
Yeah.
Didn't like to talk to people because I didn't know what to say, and small talk freaked me out. And so that's how I was. But they took it as I didn't want to have anything to do with them because I thought I was better than them. And so two completely different things. But now that they know me and they understand, oh, okay, yeah, you had a very weird time of getting over that shyness. And now they see where the Lord has taken me, and they know that's not at all was my intentions. They now perceive things different because now they can see on the inside instead of what they saw on the outside. And so you may have people in your life who've done that, who look at what you post or how you talk or dress or whatever, right? We all, and I hate to say this, but in our world, that's what people do. They come, and as soon as someone comes up, they're basing what they see, and now they've formed an opinion off of nothing. Literally nothing. There's no facts, nothing to base anything off of, just how you dressed, maybe how you walked, maybe you gave them an eye that they thought was a rude one, It could just be their facial expression. So, I mean, we can't base things off of that. So we're going to talk about this because we're going to go actually to Luke 12. We're going to start in verse 3. It says, therefore, whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light, and whatever you have spoken in the ear in inner rooms will be proclaimed on the housetop. So think about this. What we do in private or in the quiet, in the dark, maybe what you think you're getting away with, or whatever, right? Eventually will be brought to the light. Not because you want it to be exposed or anything like that, but because light and dark cannot coincide.
That's right.
So wherever light is present, darkness is eradicated. It's gone. It's exposed. So we've actually done this when we were teaching youth. We took money and we hid it in the room. It was completely open. In fact, we taped it on the wall, like right there, plain sight. However, they didn't see where we put this because they were all outside of the door. And one by one, we let them go in to find the money in the dark.
Yeah.
No light. They couldn't see. There were no windows in there. And they're searching, trying to feel all over the place to find this money because whoever found it got to keep it. No one found it. Then we brought them all in. We turned the lights on. Bam. They immediately were able to spot it because the light was on. They were able to see things clear. So in darkness, right, we may try and hide, our feelings, our setbacks, our failures, so many different things.
Yeah.
And eventually it's brought to the light. Now this could be a good thing and this could be a bad thing because maybe you've overcome. And so now it is being brought to the light because you're showing people how you overcame that situation to help others. In some situations it's brought to the light and there's consequences that come along with it. So things can go in a very bad direction for you. But we don't want it to get to that point to where, you're embarrassed. You feel like, oh my gosh, everyone's out to get me, or they're judging you. We want it to get to where it's a freedom, it's a liberty of saying, I don't have to hide this anymore. The Lord has given me wisdom. He's shown me in His Word that He loves me, that He cares for me, that He forgives me. And so we're able to talk about things that may have been uncomfortable in the past.
Yeah.
And I know we all have a past.
Yeah.
We have all got things that we are not the happiest about, that we wish we could go back and change. But the fact is we can't go back and change our past. We can only change what our future looks like. So don't let your past be a setback. Let it be a way to push you and excel you to a better future.
Yeah, a lot of times, right? That past is really kind of like you said. It's really something that you can look back on and go, man, I don't want to do that again, right? It's also something that you can use, as an encouragement to other people who may be going through the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Some people are embarrassed about it.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to talk about
Yeah.
it. I think there's a separation, right? We don't bring it along with us. It's not a part of who we are now.
Yeah, it's not a baggage.
Right? It's not a baggage. It's not who we are right now, right? And it's not something that's just going to follow us for the rest of our life.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, just like I talked about that snapshot of time, it's a snapshot. It's a window of time to say, look, I've been here.
Yeah.
Right? I've been here.
Yeah, we can relate.
And now look where I am. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like that. You can use that to kind of uplift somebody.
Yeah.
Just be that example for them.
Yeah, there's so many different things, like in my life, that I've experienced that he hasn't, or that Jason experienced that I didn't. And we have two different background stories. And
Yes.
so hearing some of the things that he went through, it's hard for me to be able to relate because I didn't go through those things.
Yeah.
So he's able to minister and talk to people on a whole different level
Yeah.
than I can because of where the Lord brought him through. And so, again, we can use things that you went through in your past as a testimony.
Yeah.
Not to bring glory and honor to Satan and, what he tried to put on you.
Sure.
But to bring glory and honor to God that, look, this is where I was, and I thought there was no hope, but then God came in
Sure.
and turned everything around for me.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to talk about this, because I was listening to that song, Pour Your Spirit Out. I think it's by Thrive Worship. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways, it's a great song, and there's a part in it where it talks about roll back that stone.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is ask, seek. Like, it's a great song.
Ask, seek, knock.
But the part that stood out to me the most where it's saying, roll back that stone.
Yeah.
And when the Lord was giving me what's behind closed doors, think about what was behind that stone. Well, we know that Jesus paid the ultimate price for you and I.
Correct.
To where we didn't have to go to hell, to where we could be forgiven, where we could live in eternity with God. And so in those moments to where he's placed in a tomb and the stone is rolled in front, it looks like hopeless. It looks like despair. It looks like that's the end.
That's right.
But what was going on behind those closed doors? He went to hell.
Yeah.
He took back the keys and got victory over death.
Yeah.
To where we don't have to be afraid. We don't have to go and spend life in torment. Guys, if we knew that's what was going on behind those closed doors, we would have been like, woo, praise you, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
This is exciting. It wouldn't be a kneeling down and crying and thinking we've lost Jesus, right?
Yep.
So no matter what it looks like, again, on the outside in your life, don't get into a state of despair and depression to where you're like, I've lost all hope. This is the end.
Yeah.
Remember what was going on behind those closed doors of Jesus' tomb and what he did and how he made things available to us that we can tangibly have here on this earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably the biggest key for people that have what they call war rooms, right?
Yes.
It's because that's essentially what was going on in that tomb, right?
Yeah.
He went to war for us. Like, he went to battle for us. Mm-hmm. And just like you said, he gained victory over death.
Yeah.
Right? He took those keys, and that's it. I mean, everything that could potentially try to attack us, he has essentially made a way out for us.
Yep.
Right? Now it's our choice.
It is our choice.
Right?
And yeah.
But he has made a way out, right? And so, that's what was going on behind that closed door of that tomb with that stone.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a great example.
Did you have a scripture that you wanted to?
Well, kind of leading into that, right, is you got to make sure that you're aware of, you don't want to be boastful, right? And so the things that, when I think of behind closed doors, that's what we're talking about, is there's so many different things that it could mean. And the thing that comes to my mind is what we do behind closed doors. Yeah. Just like you said, there's things that you're doing behind closed doors that maybe you potentially think that, you're getting away with, right?
Yeah.
But when I think of it, it's like I think of the couple of different scriptures where it talks about getting in that quiet place. When I think of it behind a closed door, this phone's not going off, right?
Yes.
The kids are not hollering, Mom, Dad, somebody, anyone, I need, I want, right? The doorbell's not ringing, you know what I mean? And so there's just all these distractions when you're just kind of out about in your day.
Yeah.
And so when I think of closed doors, I think of, hey, let's close this door. Mm-hmm. Let's just calm, right? Yeah. Let's just find peace, right? With our new dog that we have.
Oh yes, our new dog.
Right? Well, she's 7 months old, but she's a Catahoula healer, and she is 99% all the time. Right? Just like full speed ahead 100% of the time. Yeah. And so if she sees the kids, she just immediately bolts. She wants to play, right? She sees somebody. Well, when it's time to start calming down, right at night, I'll take her into the room, and we have to shut the door so that she has no distractions. And Pastor Rebecca's seen it. She's come in the room 5 minutes later, and the dog's laid on the bed, right?
Completely different.
Completely different. And so she's like she went in there and found that peace. And so I think of going into a room, being behind that closed door, and having that peace. And there's a couple of different scriptures, right? I mean, the first one that really comes to you is Psalm 91.
Okay.
Right in verse 1, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Now, I'm going to stop there. In that secret place with him, to me, that's that quiet place.
Yeah.
Right? That is that place with just him and I. And if I am dwelling there, right? Mm-hmm. If I am spending quality time there, then what is it saying? Then I shall abide under his shadow, the shadow of the Almighty. Verse 2, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust, right? This is how you begin to build your relationship with him, and you begin to build trust with him, is just spending that quiet, quality time with him, and sometimes it takes being behind a closed door.
Yes, it definitely does.
Right?
No distractions.
No distractions, right? Period, no distractions. Verse 3, surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. And then it continues to go on, right? He'll cover you with his feathers. Under his wings you shall take refuge, right? He'll be your shield, your buckler. And so this is where I think we begin to finally get to a place where we put our full trust in him.
Yeah.
Right? And if we're not spending that time with him, then we don't have our full trust in him. So when an attack comes on, right? Or a challenge comes up, or a door gets closed in front of us, out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. And so if we have that trust in him fully in our heart, then we know how to speak to those things, and we can understand, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Right? A door closing in front of you can be confusing sometimes in the natural, because it looks really good, looks like a great opportunity. And financially it's great, right? It's like, man, this is what I've been working for, this is what I've been putting in all this effort for.
Right.
And then the door closes and you are just like devastated. Right? And I've been there, right? And I've had the option to just be completely devastated. Full transparency, right? I went down the road for, a day, right? A day and a half, maybe. I even said some crazy things like, I will not, And then in that quiet time, right? And behind that closed door, he began to just reveal things to me. Yeah. And was, he just began to give me his wisdom and his revelation knowledge. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm fighting this door closed, and I'm trying to do everything in my power naturally, I'm going to begin to get frustrated, and I'm going to stay frustrated. Being behind that closed door in that secret place with him, getting my trust built up in him, right? You can build trust in a relationship. You can.
You can.
Right? The key is maintaining that trust. right? Because trust can be violated.
Oh, yeah.
It can be broken. It can be doubted. It can be questioned, right? So it's all about maintaining that trust. I recently had a conversation with somebody, and the Holy Spirit's been dealing with me to go back to them. They very well could be watching, but I'm a person who will listen a lot first. I like to listen to people. I don't like to make, snap comments and judgments because this is the way I think or this is the way I believe. Because I want this Holy Spirit to open the door for me to be able to talk to him. But, we were having a conversation about prosperity and the prosperity message, right? And the comment was, the statement that was made was, the prosperity message has done a lot of good in the Christian world, but it's also done a lot of bad in their opinion. And so at that time, it's like, I don't want to, I don't want to open that up right now. I want to meditate on it. I want to pray about it.
Yeah.
If you get to a place where you're putting your full trust in him and you're maintaining that trust with him,
yeah,
then it's a lot easier to accept and walk in prosperity.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to call things that be not as though they were, right? And I'm not saying this person doesn't have trust in God fully, right?
Hey,
but
we've all done some stuff.
Right. But it's really truly about maintaining that trust. And I think that, not particularly this person, but I think Christians in general, where this person said it's done a lot of damage to Christians, I think it's because they've never really understood or never really been taught or never really been shown that, you have to trust in God, but then you have to maintain that trust in him. Because if you doubt, right, or if you say things that don't line up with his word, then what happens in your mind is you begin to think that doesn't work.
Yeah, well, you become double-minded.
And
what does the word say? If you're double-minded, you'll be unstable in all your ways.
Being behind that closed door, like I was saying, is you're building that trusting relationship with him, and you're able to maintain that trusting relationship with him, right? Yeah. The other scriptures that come to mind for me are in Matthew 6, and we're going to start in verse 1.
Hey, that's the next one I was going to go to.
Hey. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. And see, I think that right there is super key to walking full prosperity, right? Calling things that be not as though they were. Having trust in God and knowing that He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Yeah. And so by doing charitable deeds before men to be seen by them, right? You're not doing that to honor God. You're doing that to honor you, right? Yeah. And it's just that feeling, right, can overtake people. And so what it's saying is you do these. This verse 2. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory from men. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. Yeah. Right? That is the reward, right? Is everybody likes you. I heard something the other day on the radio. I listen to sports radio sometimes in the morning, especially when the playoffs are going on around the Dallas area. And sometimes they get off to talking about other things, right? And one of the stories they were talking about is the guy on the radio, he had a lot of friends. Right? And he was Mr. Popular, right? Well, he got married, and he had an outside perspective now into his life. And his wife said, why do you do all these things that you do for other people? Like, they're your friends. Like, they like you. They want to come over all the time because you're throwing pool parties every weekend. You're providing the steaks. You're providing the barbecue, right? They don't have to do anything. They get to leave. We clean out the mess, right? And so it's like, he was doing those things, you know. he didn't even know that he was saying this, right? But he was saying, I'm doing these things and inviting everybody, and they're coming over, and they all are having a good time. Well, that was his reward, right? Now, his wife, on the other hand, was like, why are you doing that, you know? Like, when I heard that, that's what I thought of immediately. It was like, he was doing those things in public, and they were all responding to him, and he thought he had all these friends.
Yeah.
Right? And that was his reward. Right? It stopped right there. Because as soon as he stopped doing those regular parties, right? He said now
Find out who your real friends are.
it's once a month, they have a few friends over who have kids around their kids' same ages, right? And that's more rewarding, right? Because it's just like, you're not just doing those things for everyone to like you.
Yeah. Yeah, what I was getting out of that too is in verse 6 where it says,
Oh, yeah.
When you have shut your door, pray to your Father.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is neat because when we separate ourselves from all of the situations, all of the things that are going on in life, and we get into that state of, I'm going to seek the wisdom of God because I don't know what to do, right? There's so many different things to where we can hold ourselves back and not do what the Lord is leading us to do because we get into our own mind of thinking, well, what if someone says no? Or what if they don't like me? Or what if I get a bad review? Or, all the things.
Sure.
And a friend of mine told me the other day, we were talking, and I was kind of sharing some different goals and things that I had.
Yeah.
And she basically said, do it anyways because you're going to get no's. People are going to tell you no. People are going to tell you you can't. People are going to tell you you're not good enough. Do it anyways because it only takes one person that you needed to be in partnership with or that you needed to have that divine connection with that says yes, and it turns everything around for you. Well, when we're behind those closed doors, when we're shutting out all of the negativity, now we're able to listen to the Holy Spirit to where He's able to tell us who to talk to, when to talk to Him, how to structure the plan. I mean, y'all, here recently the Lord has told me to do so many different things, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I have no connections. I don't know anything about anything in that kind of environment. And it's like, as soon as I said yes to God, I was like, okay, if you want me to do it, just tell me what to do.
Let's do it.
It's like He gives me the next step. I do that. He gives me the next step. He gives me the next step. But when I was trying to figure it out all on my own, it's like, well, I can't because I've got to do the research. I got to do all, right? There was a delay in our harvest because of me making all of the excuses, not taking time to get behind closed doors with God, right? Because we can get behind closed doors with the wrong people.
Well, yeah.
We can associate ourselves and mingle with people that are actually going to pull you down. Like you were talking about that guy. When you have so many different friends and you don't realize who your true friends are, they will take things from you, they will manipulate you, and you don't even realize it's happening because it's constantly going on. And the enemy will always try and be so subtle and, this will happen and that'll happen. And once we start looking at how everything accumulated, then we look at the big picture and we're like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Well, it was a slow piece here and a slow take there and a slow mind thought there. And so taking that time to really stop and say, okay, I'm going to evaluate what's on the inside. It starts with us, you guys. We have to get ourselves closer to God. Get ourselves in the right place. And this goes in every area of your life. We have to have us fixed first, right?
Sure.
We have to have that intimate personal relationship with God before we even get married, right? Because if I don't have myself right with God, I'm going to put all of my stress, worry, care, dependency upon my husband.
That's right.
And what's that going to do to you? It's going to pull you down. You're going to get stressed, frustrated, and then there's going to be
Anger,
a separation in the marriage.
Yep.
Well, same thing in your friendships, same thing in your career, same thing in your finances. Every area of your life, there has to be you drawing closer to God in order to have that wisdom that you need, in order to operate in love, in order to have the fruits of the Spirit working in your life, in order to know where to sow, in order to know how to bring in the harvest, right?
Yep.
Because we have a garden right now, and let me tell you guys, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
We had to get an app out the other day to figure out which one was the weed and which one was the plant, because we'd never grown this plant before.
Yeah.
And you probably laughing at that for those of you who garden and know these things. But if you've never done something before and you don't have anyone around you that's done it either,
Sure.
you got to learn somewhere.
Yep.
And so you can cause yourself to step back and say, well, I can't plant that because I don't know how to do it. Guys, we have no excuses these days. We have so many different resources around us that can help us grow. And like I said, we just got the app and we looked and we're like,
Right.
okay, we know what plant that is now.
Well, and last year, right? Nothing took.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So we started last year,
Yeah.
and the tomatoes came shooting out like crazy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then our chickens came and ate most of them
Yeah.
before they were fully grown, right? But nothing else that we really had
Yeah.
took hold and grew. And so it's like, you know what? We had the choice. We could have given up right then, or we could have said, no, next year's going to be better.
Yeah.
And what did we do, right? We studied.
learned.
We researched. We learned. You know what I mean? And so we went and added some topsoil and some fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
We added some sand in there this time. And everything is exploding in that garden right
Yeah,
now.
it is, including the weeds, which is why we had to get those out.
Yes. Yes. But hey, there's resources.
Yeah.
When you don't know the answer, don't guess. We could
Yeah.
have guessed. We could have pulled up my potato plants,
Ooh,
right?
yeah,
We
bad.
could have guessed. But hey, we had resources.
Mm-hmm.
When we are looking at a door in front of us that's closed, and we need to find out if we really want to fight to have this door open, we have resources,
Yep.
right? Just like you said in verse 6, but you. It says, but you, not somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But you. When you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father. Who what? Who's in the secret place.
Mm-hmm.
And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly.
That's right.
Right? And so that's what, when I think of behind closed doors, right? I think of the secret place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just like you said, when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place. What did we just read in Psalm 91, right?
Yeah.
He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Meaning what? He'll deliver you from the snare. He'll deliver you from that.
Yeah, and to kind of tie it all in as we're closing here, I want to read Matthew 7:7 first.
Okay.
It says, ask and it will be given to you.
Yep.
Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. So just because the door is closed in front of you shouldn't stop you from going and knocking on it,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
If you go to someone's house, their door's not wide open. You have to go ring the doorbell. You have to knock on the door, or they don't know you're there.
Never know unless you ask.
Exactly. And so if you have those moments to where you think, well, it looks like a closed door, knock. The worst that can happen is they don't answer. But you know what? If we're knocking on the right door, if we're knocking on God's door, He will open it and He will give you wisdom. He'll open things up for you. I did this back when we were building our house. I pass this house all the time, and they have this stone that I've been looking everywhere for this stone. Like, that's the stone I want on my house. And I drove by it. And then one day I just kind of heard, well, stop and knock and ask. And I'm like, these people don't know me. They're going to think I'm crazy, a stranger coming up.
Yeah.
Which most people would. But I was obedient. I pulled in thinking, man, I've lost my mind. I'm about to go, and these people are going to think I'm stupid. So I get up on the porch, and I'm like, and here I go. I knock on the door. Well, guess what? The wife just so happened to open the door. And she was like, yes. And I was like, this may sound strange, but I really, really like the stone that's on your house. It's probably a long shot. I had no idea if they were the original people who built the house or anything. But do you know the name of the stone that's on your house? And she's like, actually, me and my husband built this house. She gave me a tour through their whole house, you guys. I mean, it was just like amazing. In the natural, you would think no one's going to invite you into their house. They don't know you. You could be some crazy lunatic. But because I listened to the Holy Spirit and God said, stop, go ask. And I was willing to get up there and knock on the door, even though I was thinking, I did it even though my brain was telling me not to. I was able to benefit, and now we have the stone that I like on our house.
Yeah. The awesome part of that story too, I if I remember right, is this lady was saying that she was trying to sell her house.
Yes.
And she was believing that somebody would just show up and start asking questions about it.
Yeah, she was even trying to sell me. She's like, well, when we've got this in the backyard. And I'm like, well, I don't actually want to buy your house, but I might have someone who's interested in your house at the time. So I did actually tell them about her house. But yeah, it's funny how it worked out.
Yeah.
So we like I said, we want this to be an encouragement to you guys to look beyond just the exterior of a door. Don't base your decisions off of what you can see. We have the ability to be able to discern spirits, to know what's right and what's wrong. And the Lord will begin to show you plans. He'll give you all the blueprints we need to be able to continue, to be able to go down the right path, to get into a state to where we are knocking on the right door. We're going in, we're shutting that door behind us, and we're entering into that secret place like you were talking about.
Yeah. When you're talking about asking, right, and seeking and knocking, I think of, I'm a sports guy, so I think of Wayne Gretzky, hockey player, Hall of Famer. He said one time, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And what he was referring to at the time was in the game. Yeah. Right? You know, they're like, how do you know? Like, how do you score so many times? Yeah. He's like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Mm-hmm. That relates to life, right? It does. You will not get an answer 100% of the time if you don't ask. That's true. Right? The door is not going to be opened 100% of the time if you don't knock. Mm-hmm. Right? And God's not going to answer you 100% of the time unless you're seeking Him. Yeah. You know, there's a quote too that is like one of my favorites. Most people's problem is that they're afraid of aiming too high because they think they're going to miss. Yeah. But what actually happens is people aim too low and they hit the target. Yep. And so if we're taking our vision, our future, and we're kind of bringing the goals down, right? Yep. I think of this with people who are single and they're looking for their mate. Mm-hmm. You know, they got those high standards when they first start out, but then every year they get older and older, and now their standards begin to lower, and then they begin to settle. And we can do this in our life to where we're like, oh, well, I'm past this age, so the odds of that happening are pretty slim. So let me alter, you know, what I thought I wanted to do. But God's like, no, your age should not limit you. Your physical ability, your education should not limit you. It's a matter of, are you willing to continue to seek wisdom, to have that intimate relationship with God to where He can show you how you can have those things despite what the world says of your qualifications. Sure. Right? You know, we think about, am I qualified for this? And the word tells us that many are called but few are chosen. And when I was writing the other day, I was looking up different things, and there's also another quote that says that God doesn't call the qualified, that He qualifies the called.
So if God tells you that he's called you to do something, it doesn't matter what you think your qualifications are, because God's going to equip you. He's going to qualify you.
Yeah.
Think about when we started certain jobs, right? You didn't have certain certifications when you
Sure.
started, but your job said, I think you'd be good at this, so I'm going to pay for you to go take this course or to get certified for this. And what happened? You became qualified to take on that position.
That's right.
Well, that's what God does for us. He qualifies us because he sees us at our full potential.
Yep. As we're wrapping up today, tomorrow is Memorial Day. And so we do want to take this time, and it's really cool that, in this country that with all of the things that are going on that just seem to be madness to a lot of us, that we still take the time to honor those who have served. And so I want to say thank you to each and every person out there. You may know somebody, you may be that person, you may have someone in your family who has served in uniform. We want to say thank you very much, and we want to honor you now. We also, most importantly, want to honor those before you, those who, as Lincoln said, gave the last full measure of devotion, right? And so we want to honor each and every person here that is watching, or even that you may know or that you love. Take the time to tell them thank you for their service.
Yeah, even the ones who have passed on, we still want to recognize them and be praying for their families who are still here, you guys, because every year we may think it gets easier for them, but it doesn't.
Yep.
It's a time to where they remember what they lost, and so we want to be praying for them to give them strength and endurance and to live up to their legacy.
That's right.
We want to say thank you guys for watching. We hope that this has helped you to see behind closed doors of yourself and others, look at things differently and from a new perspective. So we love you guys. We want you to know that you're never too young or too old to fulfill the call, and we'll see you next week.